Amia and Francisco at Cervantes Dog Training and Rehabilitation, and we're just reflecting a little bit on a session that we just had, and I thought I would turn on the video so that we could just kind of capture some of our thoughts. So I was just saying that it feels awkward at first going in and meeting new clients because it takes a lot of introduction before getting to work. But I was saying that introduction is really important because at the end of the session, people are like, ah, and like there are all of these clicking moments where things come together, and then they are like just so relieved that they finally feel that they understand things. And I was saying that without having had that introduction, those connections probably wouldn't have been made as clearly as...
Well, part of it is that a lot of people aren't prepared for to be hands-on with dogs.
Right.
They think that it's all about excitement and food and I don't even know what else, but it's not the same thing when you're hands-on. And then so to prepare the people, I take my time because I'd rather take my time and prepare them mentally for what's coming than if it's just I start right away and then they're more confused more than anything.
I think it invites people to participate too.
Oh yeah.
And with what you do, like you said, you kind of, it's a bit of a warning that at first they're like, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into? But it's an absolutely necessary warning because what they're about to experience is unlike anything they've ever known when it comes to dogs and their understanding of dogs and dog ownership.
Right, and it's like, well, I take my time, and I'm not in a rush to take my time. I just take my time at the beginning, especially with people that like that they don't that maybe they're new to the dog world or they have dogs but then they didn't have issues before, or they didn't see as an issues, but now they're like, I need help because I don't know what to do. And so when I go to people's houses, I just read what's going on, and then so I make my decisions through the energy that is around and how they interact between the dogs. And so, but this particular case, it's like I had to take my time because I wasn't sure if they were like a little. I mean, they were a little tense. Don't you think? Like
Yeah,
tense,
I think you have to
nervous.
gauge how open people are, how open
Right.
they are to trying something new.
And it's a barrier. It's like because you feel it. It's you have to be really like realistic of what people can handle. So.
Well, and you would do the same thing no matter what anyway, but the point
Right.
is you need to make sure that your clients feel that they have the ability to say, wait a second,
Right.
what was that? And I'm uncomfortable with that. Please explain what this is, you know?
But if you think about it, most of the time, I don't need to explain more than
the opening.
Right, because
Yeah.
I already prepared them.
You already did it. And I feel like it's so funny because we've tried to avoid that opener, but realized that it's unavoidable. You know what I mean? We try to avoid it because people who don't know exactly what they're getting into until they get into it, the opener is a little bit like, oh, shit. Like, what? What is this? And you can feel that they're like, yeah. But then they refer to that later when they're like, okay, this is what he means then. It comes together like, oh, this is what he meant when he said that. I got it. Okay.
Right, and
then they find comfort in the work more than like insecurity.
Yeah, well, the relief that she has, she was like, oh my God,
yeah.
this feels good. Like,
did you hear how many times she went, and And it's just like, you've been holding that this
Yeah.
whole time? Like, I'm sorry.
I know.
But yeah, it's true.
insane.
Situations can be, with dogs, can be so...
So here's the thing, that we have a let's just say this nice couple with a kid, and they have full-time jobs. It's winter, and you know they have a lot going on. A younger kid, and they don't need more stress on top of that, on top of what they have.
Yeah.
So
They don't need to dedicate, like, time specifically to their dog's training.
right, and that's what they were looking for, because
Well, and that's why the walks got so frustrating for them, because the walk became like a let's focus on my dog walk for an hour, and then they'd have to like psych themselves up to walk their dog because it would be like dog working time.
right.
But then I think when they realized that they could make it more a part of their lifestyle and have the dog like accommodate for their needs
Right.
too.
Like that's what I call having a relationship where
Right.
it's like the dog is going to be respectful and then to trust you at the same time, and is going to be with you, and I think that's why she was like, oh my god, because I don't think that she knew that this could happen, that this was an option. And so once people find out that there's an option and they can actually work with their dog that way, then I think it's a relief.
Yeah.
She was, I mean, both of them were like, yeah, I can.
Yeah.
They were already saying, like, I'm already thinking what I can do with this training. Like, I can take it in one thing that we didn't work is that a car. Like,
Well,
you
we
know,
didn't know that
we didn't
the
know
car
that.
was an issue for this
But
dog.
she was already thinking like,
But
this
at the end-
automatically works for that, applies to that, and it's
Yeah.
like, yes, that's exactly right. You can apply it anywhere you want, as
Right.
long as you're
wherever you need it.
Right.
Wherever. Yeah.
and that's the good thing about it, is that you don't have to overthink about something like that. That you will see it as a negative thing, or it's like, oh, I'm just dragging myself to do this, so I don't want to do this. It could change, and a lot of the times it's like, like dogs put you to work at first, but then if you're there and then you keep it up, that's when you kind of like you finally get like, all right, we did it, and now we get to a point where we're enjoying things.
Yeah.
And I think that's the feeling that I have from them at the end. That is like, because having a two-year-old kid is it's challenging in a dog.
Anyway, yeah.
So to me is that, well, you don't have to remove your kid. You just need to work and make it to the point that the dog has to listen to you, so while you take care of the other part. And it's a combination of
Right,
like
like-
telling your dog what to do, so then you can take care of one thing,
Yeah.
and then you can focus on
Like,
them.
they thought that dog training was a separate thing, but no, dog training is in this moment when your child is screaming and you need your dog to stay with you and wait, so you're not trying to grasp for your kid and your dog. This is the exercise.
Right, that's the
And for
realistic.
them to be able to, in real life situations, be able to say, oh, this is my chance to teach my dog
I love when she
an
was
important lesson.
She was, it was really nice, because she was like, really nervous when I asked her to do something at first, and then it got to the point where her daughter stepped in, and she was like, and I'm like, well, work around, let's see what you
Yeah.
can do. And she was honest. She was like, at first she was like, oh, I don't know what to do, and then all of a sudden it kicks in the work, and
Right.
then she was on it. She told the dog what to do, and
Now
she
you
was
go,
taking
right?
care of her child, which was awesome. She did a good job. She was then applying the training, and then she understood that it is powerful and it's something that she can manage on her own. And plus, she already tried. I mean, she already knew that she didn't have time for treats or for.
I know.
I mean, she wasn't gonna put 2 hours on extra on top
Yeah.
of what she already had.
Yeah,
And that is just unrealistic.
right. And that's the thing too, is like, it's much more predictable with clients when they have kids, that you're going
Right.
to have a better experience working together, oddly enough, you know, like, because it's just much more realistic for a person with kids to follow your training style, rather than like these other people who, like, their dog is their kid, and
Right.
they've
It's a
devoted
big-
every moment of every day to this dog, and they can't correct the dog because it makes them feel bad. I guess it just goes along with like this mother with her 2-year-old daughter who's already got her hands full. She's supposed to put on a fanny pack full of treats and mark her dog's behavior with
Yeah.
treats. It's not realistic.
And then that's where
And so I
we're
think that's why it fits just a little bit.
right. And
more.
then that's what's like awkward. What you're saying is because at the beginning we open up with like, we're not here to teach your dog how to sit or roll over, and then that changes the mind. That's like, whoa. So what are we doing now?
Well, but I think, yeah. I don't know if they think that you're actually.
No,
I kind of
no.
wonder when you say that if they go, well, I know that. But
That's the reason.
but they
we
don't
open.
actually get that until
No,
later.
Yeah.
You know, like I think when you
Totally.
say that, they go, yeah, I mean, obviously, I get that. But then, like, later they realize, no, I actually thought that. I thought you were gonna, like, use commands and reward with treats every 2 seconds and lots
Right,
of
right,
talking
right.
and excitement. And I get what you mean now when you say that. Yeah.
No, it was nice because they were also like they were open to try it and not only that, to see the response of the dog and you know, like the challenge that the dog could be for them, and then but turn it around on a positive way, and like something that they can just say, hey, I have something to say, I would like you to do this for me. That can change the relationship between them a lot.
Yeah, I love when you say that. It's so funny. Because it's true. Like, dogs don't realize that you have something you want to say. That, like, you have input until you mark it.
Right. And that's why she was like,
demand it.
oh, I can do that?
Yeah.
Really? And then it was like, yeah, you can.
Yeah.
You just haven't asked.
Right.
And part of it is that the dog feels that and senses that, and she you know, like her dog, you know, she was just doing what she's supposed to do. Like, but she did what was told. Right? If she said like, I need you to wait for me while I'm walking, he took a little bit, but she did it.
Yeah. And that's a big one with dogs nowadays. Is that the waiting.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's one of the first things that you find yourself doing regularly with clients is waiting. Dogs never have
Yeah.
to wait anymore for
because
anything.
And we as well, we don't wait. We don't take our time.
Yeah.
Because one of the things you mentioned that is that when I ask them to grab the leash and walk, like the rush to just grab and go,
Start
move,
walking.
move, move.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you're not feeling it. You're not connecting yourself with your dog, but just trying to move fast. So once you're like, they realize that they're moving too fast, and then I just coach them and like, you need to do this, or you need to slow down.
And they're like,
do this.
oh, I can take my time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, it is not a fight to get to the door or to get from here to there. It's just about like, let's just work together and then let's get there, but not rush to be like, who's gonna be the first one. them that it's not about finding 2 or 3 hours or more on top of what they already have.
Yeah.
It's really unrealistic for trainers to teach people to do that, or to expect people to do that. What we ask them is it's that why don't you put that training that you need to do on what's the usual, like, you know, your routine that is already. If you do that, then it's much easier, and then it does get. You need to do some work before you get there, but you can get there.
Yeah. Yeah. So we just had a great session all the way out in Heinsberg. We're feeling
It was a good one.
pretty good after it. All right.
And so it's awkward. It's mostly awkward for her, not for me.
It's pretty awkward for me.
That's just me. I don't feel awkward.
Okay. Well, I feel like those people who's like,
Who are you?
no, did you see the husband's leg was shaking?
Yeah, I didn't. I don't.
I
pay
know
attention
just
to
what that feels
It's
like.
the
I know
eyes.
just what that feels like
You
in
know,
your
while
body
you're-
when you're like,
While you're looking for signs of like if the human is nervous, I look at the face.
I've been reading body language my whole life. I'm so good at it. I'm so good at it. But that's the thing, yeah. And I'm like, I know what that feels like, and I'm so glad that I have a trainer. So glad. What a relief. Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for tuning in. Until next time. Bye.
Yeah.
So, I just realized I had some more thoughts on this subject. I was just in my mind thinking about, when somebody calls you because their dog is going to the bathroom in the crate when they go to work, and they come home to a big mess, and they're like really desperate to solve that problem, and you have a 2-hour session, and you spend the whole session on walking on leash. Like, that's what I was thinking too. So you give this big lecture in the beginning because you have to give them a heads up about how you work and how it's different, and that they have the ability to protest and have an opinion and talk about things. And then you're like, all right, let's work on the walk. And then you put the leash on, and they're like, I don't know, it's a really common thing that you work on the walk majority of the time.
That and the door.
And then it doesn't happen until the end where you're like, this is why this matters. And like for today, you were like, your dog is pooping and peeing in the crate after you worked so hard to make sure that bladder and those bowels were empty before you put it in there, but it still somehow has more. It's doing that because it's pissed off that you're telling it what to do when you never tell it what to do ever. And usually it tells you what to do, and this time you're like, I have something I want to say. I have something that would accommodate me. And the dog's like, that's not on my agenda.
Yeah. Well, that was funny because it was exactly that. And then one thing that she didn't say at the beginning, if you noticed, but I think probably she didn't realize that until at the end, like you said, that the dog actually peed in the pillow or crate, whatever the spot is, like right in front of her. kind of
Looking
like,
at
look
her at
me.
the same time, yeah.
And that's just like...
Yeah. And then
that is like a big F kind of thing. It's like...
an FU.
Yeah. It's like, F this.
Well, and that's the thing about it. So then you start doing the walk, and they don't realize, like, they can't put it together until it's done at the end. that all of those times that all you asked the dog to do was sit next to you and wait, and it wouldn't. And all of the times that you asked it to go right, but instead it was trying to go left to its dog bed, that all of those times, and if you didn't say, nope, this is actually what we're doing and you're going to do it, there isn't a choice, that all of those moments that you didn't even realize were an issue lead up to the bigger problem that
Right.
you're having.
Right.
And that's like not just like a fix to the crate. Like you don't just like, oh, you called me for crate issues? Where's the crate? Okay, let's put her in there. You know what I mean? Like this dog was called for crate issues but never once went into the crate the entire session. Because it's just a symptom
right.
of a larger problem, of a lifestyle that doesn't work for the dog.
Right. It's just a product of the environment. It's a product of the environment. But yeah, that's and he does. That's what you're meaning about feeling awkward, because they call us for one reason, and then we end up working in another direction that they don't think that you're like, where are we going with this?
Right. And you can't convince them. Like they will come around to it and they'll realize it on their own time. You can't convince them in the beginning.
Right.
And so it's just like you have to just like patiently wait for them to realize the things they need to realize, put things together, and wait for that big moment at the end where they go, oh,
I get it.
and then that empowerment and confidence that follows where they're like, I can do this, I can handle that, that's
Right.
doable.
Because most of the time the dog is just like, one, it's bored, or it's just plainly saying to you like, F you.
Yeah.
But if you tackle older areas, like if you do like, I like to call it groundwork, where you tackle older particular areas and behavior, when you get at the end, when you get to the actual, like, let's say crate or pillow, this, like either way, then they want nothing to do with I mean, because we didn't start the work there, we lived that at the end.
Right.
And then towards the end, the dog is like, oh yeah, I am going to that crate and I'm going to rest.
Yeah.
And so how you do it is really important, because we started in it totally in a way that it never thought that this could make sense. And then once we get to that part of the crate, there it was so much easier, right? Because then we tackle other stuff, other behaviors, other stuff, and then by the time we got to the crate, it was so like it was a different feeling and different energy, to the point that it was like, all right, I can do that, right? Because you're that symptom, it's you know, sometimes you can get there right away and tackle that issue, but most of the time it's what you do in that surrounding
The
area.
cause.
Right. It's much bigger than what you think.
A collection of
Right. And it's like
issues
here and there,
in your lifestyle
and then things
and your
that you
relationship
you
with your dog.
didn't think that it would be helpful, and then all of a sudden it just clicks. That it's like, oh, I see.
Right.
So it was nice that they put it together after, and they were like, oh, that kind of makes sense, and then not only that, but it empowers them to continue, right? Because they were like a little like, I don't know what to do on this one, and so what happens is that they didn't feel in control in this particular situation, and so once we teach them that we encourage them that there is another way, we empower them to feel confident and in control, and that to me it makes me feel nice to see them feel good about it, and what they say, right, is like, now I have options. It feels good to have options. Now I know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
I do this because I can do something.
She said, "Oh, it feels good to have a plan."
Right. She did say that.
Yeah.
Which that's the whole point of this, because it's not about money for us. It's about helping. We're here to help people, and we do love and we care about dogs, and that's why I chose this as my path to work with dogs. But you know, we would love to rescue it and to have a lot of dogs. But the thing is, there's a bigger issue right here.
Yep.
And then if you teach people how to approach different scenarios or approach their dog, then you're helping.
Right.
Other than that, you can't not save every single dog. And
Right.
that goes to this sweet lady over here that
Because I really want to save it.
every time a dog comes to our
Really bad.
house, she wants to keep it. And it's like, no, it's not how it works.
Yeah, and they were looking for like foster homes the other day, and I was like, that
Yeah.
dog Moose, that cross-eyed dog Moose looked pretty great. Yeah. No, but that's not realistic. If we just had the ability to empower more people and give them the tools and guidance that they need to have more confidence in their relationships with their dogs, we would have much less of a problem.
But here's the thing: it goes to where we always say is like this training might not be for everyone. That's for sure. But if we can empower.
Why might it not be for everybody? I think it's
No,
for
it
everybody.
works for everybody. But the problem is how you see it, and that you cannot change how people see this training style.
Yeah, but
That's
it's
something
those
you cannot change.
But it's those people that don't see the training style for
But the problem here
what it is that
not the problem, but I think
are
that
the ones that aren't able to handle their dogs and
well,
have
a lot
to
of
get rid
it
of them.
has to do with like a lot of people they just not putting themselves in other people's shoes.
Well, yeah, the judgment doesn't
judgment.
help. It's pretty easy
Yeah, it's
to
very
give up
easy
your
to
dog
judge
when
and say-
if you go outside, you're being judged by other people
Right.
for the way that your
It's
dog
very
behaves.
easy
and
to do that.
You feel out of control and you don't know. what
And
to
for
do
those
about
people,
it.
it's not until they have something that it's going to until they're forced to change their mind. But you cannot change those people's mind, but they're already set in their ways. But you can change. You can help those that and that's what we're trying to do. We can help those that actually need our help, or they have an open mind and they say, I want to change my relationship with my dog.
There's
and I want
another
to
lane. Are
understand."
you in it? There's a left lane. Okay.
So I think that our job is to empower those that they want to be
They want to save
empowered.
dogs
Yeah, they want.
or want to keep their dogs.
They want to
even-
keep the
yeah.
dog because most of the time they already rescue a dog, and they're like, should I return it or what should I do with this dog? It's like, well, let's just give you some information and some tools that you can actually do something about it. You think we can
It's
fit in
tight.
it?
It's too tight,
Really
dude.
tight.
Are we getting bagels?
Yep.
My mom says that I should be gluten free. She thinks that I might be gluten intolerant, but not today.
What we're doing.
I'll give that a go tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Not today.
So, yeah,
all right.
it's good.
Well, thanks for tuning in. Bye.
Yeah.